These benches are mine. These benches are mine. These benches are mine.
I'll be back when I'm ready. I'll be back when I'm ready.
Dogs often bury bones. Dogs often bury bones. Dogs often bury bones.
The petals of a flower are often brightly colored and scented to attract insects and other pollinators. The petals of a flower are often brightly colored and scented to attract insects and other pollinators.
One was the great success of farmers in breeding cattle and crop plants. One was the great success of farmers in breeding cattle and crop plants. One was the great success of farmers in breeding cattle and crop plants.
An important example of the latter is spotting the partner during turns, especially free spins. An important example of the latter is spotting the partner during turns, especially free spins.
Wine is made by the fermentation of the sugar in grapes. Wine is made by the fermentation of the sugar in grapes. Wine is made by the fermentation of the sugar in grapes.
The games added many new things such as breathing and a new bag system. The games added many new things such as breathing and a new bag system.
It also varies seasonally, depending on which fruits and vegetables are ripe. It also varies seasonally, depending on which fruits and vegetables are ripe.
Rules requires that male gymnasts touch each corner of the floor at least once during their routine. Rules require that male gymnasts touch each corner of the floor at least once during their routine. They help students and researchers understand the order and chronology of historical events for a subject. They help students and researchers understand the order and chronology of historical events for a subject.
Early trains used horsepower and ran on wooden or iron tracks. Early trains used horsepower and ran on wooden or iron tracks. Early trains used horsepower and ran on wooden or iron tracks.
Of course, what is it? Well, every class is different, so it really depends on the students and what they need help with. In general, you should be available during your review sessions to answer any questions that students have about the material. You can also use review sessions as an opportunity to go over difficult concepts in more detail or to give students additional practice with things like grammar exercises. Another possibility is to help them create study guides before exams. You're required to be available for 2 hours a week. Most teaching assistants will divide this into 1-hour segments, twice a week.
Discuss the important impacts of academic honesty on the learning process. Discuss the important impacts of academic honesty on the learning process. Discuss the important impacts of academic honesty on the learning process.
The impact of academic honesty, I guess it actually depends on your purpose and on the career. For example, if you are learning how to code, maybe it's not that relevant since you can find that information online. So you can actually, I don't know, use that information even if you didn't learn it at college or school. On the other hand, for some topics, I guess it is extremely important, such as in medicine. You don't want a doctor who didn't learn the right thing at college. And on the other hand, it depends on how much you are lying to yourself. For example, if you are just studying a course that you're not planning on apply, and it's not something important, it's not a relevant topic, you can more or less lie to yourself, like cheating or something, and that is kind of okay because it's your time and you are not affecting anyone but yourself. But if it's about something that has an impact on other people and that is actually important for you, lying to yourself, not being honest, is just a waste of time, and it's something that I don't know why in some countries, some cultures, it is still kind of popular, but that is something that I completely disagree with. I can see a highly interesting image with numerous details and things to speak about. For example, I can see a woman sitting on a wooden chair, and in front of her there is a man wearing a beret and a jacket, and the man is drawing using a pencil her face. Also, I think that it looks very different to the woman who is posing. In the background, I guess I can see many people who are staring at the artist and the lady. I think this is a very interesting image because even though it's casual, it grabs the attention of the viewer. And also, I think that promoting art is important. The work of art, I don't think it will be a masterpiece, but it is still a piece of art that she can cherish. And other than that, I think that she's very serious. I think that the model could smile a little bit more. And let's describe her outfit. It seems like she's wearing a shirt and a cardigan. Also, she's wearing black pants, and below here underneath I can see something that looks like a bag or a backpack. I'm not really sure. And I can also see a trunk in the middle. This is an interesting question. I was not expecting this topic, but I think that games could motivate employees since they have stages, they have a score, they have competition, and you can also play them alone if you don't want to compete with others. So I think that they are a great tool for learning since you actually pay attention when you are playing, you want to advance, so it's not boring. And it might help some people. You can actually play the same level many times, which is not always the case when you take standard courses with teachers live. So I think that they can also increase productivity and morale since many employees like to compete. So through gamification or gaming, you can create different works of different teams of workers or co-workers, and make them challenge each other and thus increasing productivity. I think that it can promote innovation since it provides a different viewpoint, and the employees can connect the points, the dots, and also the efficiency since it boosts morale. And with a high morale, people work harder and more passionately. This is an interesting question. I do have a clear opinion, but I have to agree, I have to admit that both types of art are highly interesting to me, and I appreciate and find value in both cases. To be honest, I like the work, the works of art in which the message is a little bit abstract, and this is not actually because people can find the meaning that they want or that best work for themselves, but because it forces you to find how the brain of the artist works, and also like it's interesting just to see different things different to everyday life items. On the other hand, I think that when they have a clear message, they can be appealing for to a broader audience, and it depends on the message that you want to transmit, because in case it is something actually very relevant, you don't want to have your message overlooked. That's why I appreciate both. Okay, and I can tell you a few examples. There is an artist that is called Picasso. When I see his pieces of art, I gotta be honest, I don't really like them. I mean, when it comes to the art, but when it comes to finding out the way he thinks, what was his motivation in each and every single paint, sorry, I guess that I actually appreciate his work. On the other hand, there is this artist. His name was Fernando Botero. His paintings were not abstract, well, kind of. So you could see like the traditional life of a person in Latin America, and it was like preserving art and history in his paintings. You could see like the lifestyle of an average Joe, well, an average South American person, like a police officer or like a maid, on also the way they ate, used to eat, and also the architecture. So also the main events in Colombia that happened in the last decade or in several decades from several decades ago. So I think that this is a way to spread not only messages but also culture in a way that not many other types of art can.